All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes coming to you live from my crappy internet. Thank you, AT&T. Already in the chat. Our man from the future, Shashi. Joining us from the UK, Shadow of the Raven. Megan the Texan has joined us. Yes, I am live. I am not Memorex. 'Tis I, Deleted Scenes, human being American and YouTube Ronin. And welcome to the Mystery Movie Night podcast. Joining me tonight, the woman who is planning my demise. The reason why I know you are all really here, Sin's Corner.
This is just going to be a thing. All right, I'll accept it.
It is a thing. It is officially a thing.
Okay, all right, I'll just give in. Thanks for having me, Deleted.
You're welcome. The man we have shanghaied into this, off the cover.
Hello out there in YouTube land.
Joining us from an undisclosed location.
a little different without my regular background.
Indeed. And the man looking for an escape route. He's not Peter Facinelli, he just plays him on YouTube. Kyle Corwith.
Now you're going to have to come up with a new intro because I've heard that one before.
Yes.
He's too dapper. He's too dapper for the rest of us.
If you're going to keep up, and I got to give one suggestion. You got to up the ante in terms of what Sin's going to do to you, like how she's going to kill you. Like
it's like all these
she's planning to plant a bomb, next week, that type of thing. We just got demonetized, probably.
No, this is the main weapon of women. A little poison here and there.
Pepper spray?
The poison.
Oh,
different creative ways, different creative ways to do it.
I don't think
You
I'm
just gotta
that smart.
up the ante. Keep to this.
Just my reputation is going to precede me. I mean, people are going to be scared to even talk to me.
And hello to...
At some point, someone will realize that it's a joke.
Yeah, right. Of course, I'm sure our crowd does. But it's like, my goodness, this turned into a thing. I don't know how. I have never said any violent words at all to Deleted. I have been nice.
Or has she?
You never know what goes on behind the scenes, right? That's true, Sashi. That's true.
Women's legal system. Yeah, that too. All right.
Hey, Corey.
Hello, Corey. Wokie's Movies and Music. Thank you for joining us. All right. Well, let's just get down to tonight's movie, and that was The Fire Inside, starring Ryan Destiny and Brian Tyree Henry, and tells the story of Olympic gold medalist Clarissa Shields. All right, so it was a biopic this week, folks. All right, so this is
it's been like true stories lately.
It has.
The last one, and wasn't the one.
Well,
you know what I mean.
Like, order a true story.
Okay, all right, but you know what I mean, like true
story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
it certainly wasn't true at the end with the ending credits. Chiron.
Yes, that's exactly right. Sorry to derail the convo. It just occurred to me. It's like we've had 3 back-to-back where it's been.
We're just
this one was actually the trailers from the other mystery movie nights. Because I remember, I want to say it was for The Order or the one before that. And I was like, this looks cool. I'd like to go see this. So I'm glad it was this one. I mean, I really wanted Nosferatu, but we can't always get one.
It's not going to be Nosferatu. I had a screener for this one, but I had a screener for The Fire Inside, but I wasn't interested at all. So when it came on, I was kind of like, because they're just like sports movies don't generally interest me.
Sure.
But it was okay. I enjoyed it.
You're not a fan of Air Bud?
Is that the movie with the dog? I think maybe I saw the first one. I don't know. No, I'm not huge into sports movies. And I'm even less huge into boxing and even less huge into Olympic boxing. So while I have a peripheral memory of her-ish, I didn't really follow her story.
Whatsoever.
I vaguely remember hearing about a boxer who won gold back to back, and that hadn't happened before. But I didn't.
That's all I care about. Boys in a boat.
Rowan, yeah. I don't care for boxing all that much, so the only nitpick I have about this movie, I'll get into it later as we discuss further, but it's not huge. I didn't think it got actually super compelling until after she won the gold. It felt very formulaic up until that point.
Yeah.
It was really fast. Like, it showed her getting the gold. It was only about an hour after the movie had started.
About
and there was another 30. Yeah, there was like another 30, 40 some minutes to go. And I was like, wow, that was pretty quick. What's going to be the point of this? And then basically after that, what got really interesting was the struggles that she had after the Olympics, because she didn't get the recognition that she felt she deserved.
Yeah, deserved. She acted more entitled.
Yes, I agree. That's some of the nitpicks I was going to mention.
Yeah, and I wonder if this was. I would like to think and give the actual historical person the benefit of the doubt that they didn't actually act this haughty.
Toward her coach, specifically?
Toward her coach, toward the other higher-ups, and I suppose reps for
the boxing Olympic
Olympics, or salespeople, right?
Yeah, I mean, this movie could have been a lot more than it was. So I was hoping this wasn't, and I'm glad it wasn't just another Rocky rehash, because that's been done to death. The fact that she was from Flint, Michigan, that's interesting. The poverty that she escaped, that's interesting. You can even say, like, people, on the lower economic side, on the lower side of the economic spectrum, they say they strive to be NFL or NBA stars, and like so few make it, that you could have shown a little bit of that. So my initial reaction about like women's equal pay harkens me back to the women's soccer team.
Yes, exactly. So, that was what I was going to mention.
So, and I can see where both sides are coming from, right? So the women have won 5 straight World Cups, and they should be paid as much as the men, because the men have done jack, right? The other, like, the counter argument that I've heard on a podcast once, as I was driving through the mountains, I distinctly remember this, is that women's sports don't bring in as much advertising revenue, therefore they get paid less, which I think is a very flimsy argument.
But it's correct.
They don't bring in just as much attention or interest.
Attention is what leads to advertising dollars.
Yeah,
Ronda Rousey has talked about this. She was asked a question about this, and she was very blunt, and she said when women get as much attention and crowds as men do, then the pay goes up.
Yeah, it's like supply and demand. There's no huge demand for things like women's boxing, because society still there really isn't. You know that
it's women's UFC.
I'm not talking about UFC. I'm talking about boxing. She was in boxing.
Sure.
So there's no, like, UFC is a whole different animal,
Sure.
but there's just like there's not a huge demand for women's soccer. Yeah, I'm sure it's got plenty of fans, but it doesn't bring in the interest in general that men's soccer does. So for them to flounce around and act like they needed to be paid the exact same or more, basically, because from what I understand, they ended up getting, like, when you crunch the numbers, they end up getting a better deal, even though they don't really bring in a similar amount of funds from the
Right.
public.
I mean, yeah, there's that economic argument of it, but I mean, just looking at the women's soccer team, if you're just freaking dominating, and the men have like done jack shit since 1930.
But the men are raking in more money from the public.
Well, that's the whole point. Like, if
it's because it's just
better,
like
therefore
you
they should be getting paid more.
Yes, but that's not like you can't force interest in a thing. It's just, I mean, if it's going to be there, it's going to be there, and maybe eventually it'll grow and get better. But you can't force crowds to want to see this thing as much as they do this other thing if most people like this other thing. So why should the people involved in this thing be paid the exact same amount of money? That, I mean, that's like saying that a little leaguer should be paid, the exact same amount of money as a Major League Baseball player.
Well, no. I said pay for performance. If you're performing really well, you should get paid really well.
Yeah, but that's not quite how it works. I mean, it's kind of like I was thinking about it on the way home. I was like, it's kind of the same way on YouTube. Mm-hmm. We see a lot of channels on YouTube that are fantastic. They don't get the attention just because there's not necessarily a specific audience for that type of content as other channels that focus on, we've had this conversation before, like the clickbaity, hate-centered sort of channels. That's going to get more attention than people that put a lot of time and thought into their videos, and that's not what they focus on. It's just the way it is. It's just what.
But I mean,
you can't force people to like something.
Like growing up in the early '90s, I remember, the USA Dream Team with the basketball.
Yeah, I remember them.
Honestly, I find like women's swimming a hell of a lot more compelling than men's swimming. Same with running.
I wonder why.
Well, actually, women's swimming they might have a better audience too than women's boxing. It's all about what people like. You know how they were showing, the beach volleyball. The women's beach volleyball, and there she was well, the same reason, like he was saying, as the women's swimming. But a lot of people don't necessarily like to see women engaged in sports that it's mostly male centric. It's just not their thing.
Violence.
Yeah,
which I guess was the point of the movie. But I mean, if you're dominating and back-to-back gold or whatever, yeah, you should be on the Wheaties box. Like, I'm in agreement there.
I don't think it should be handed to you just
because.
So here's the thing. Something I was thinking of. The only reason that she got that $3,000 a month stipend that she asked for is because she did have a gold medal. So she did have some leverage. She had gotten the U.S. boxing, team the first medal in X amount of years. So she had something. She could stay, and they wanted this repeat. Yeah. If she were just any other boxer, they would have been like, forget you.
Sure, yeah. But I mean, she did struggle to get the endorsements.
She did.
Which I guess the guy that her coach went to get, and he said, "Oh, she's really good. But I don't think my brand wants to see women beat the shit out of each other."
Yeah. That's just, I mean, that's, maybe eventually these sorts of things will organically change as interests, change or whatever. But that was one of the things that I had an issue with was her. I mean, and I liked her character. I felt sorry for her character, but I also, she was not very receptive to advice that was being given. They were like, look, people don't like to hear you say you like to beat up people.
Right. And I wonder whether that's the actress or the direction or whether that actually happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just basing it. I have no clue.
When we don't have any clue, then we do have to look at the movie itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to guess there's probably an element of truth to it. But I mean, I don't like it when any boxer acts. That's one of the reasons I hated Mike Tyson back in his heyday. Hated him.
Whoa. Mike Tyson is one of the greatest humans.
I don't give a shit. I hated him because at the time, I like him now because he's a completely different person.
Sure.
But at the time, I felt like he was using boxing as an excuse to legally beat the tar out of people. Like he had an enjoyment. He enjoyed hurting people, and I could see that about him.
I'll
Some
eat his
people do that.
And this was the way she was. She enjoyed it too, and she made no bone. And I was like, well, that's kind of shitty. That makes me not like you too much as a person. I wonder
if it was the same in real life, which I'm going to steal. Sorry, Kyle. I attribute what I'm about to say exactly to what Kyle and I discussed about the movie. That I think this would have, and actually I think Kyle stole it from you, Sid. I think this movie would have worked a lot better as a documentary.
Sin, you had mentioned this about a different movie, and then when me and Paul walked out of the theater, I mentioned I would have wanted to watch a documentary about this instead of this.
It might have made her a little bit more sympathetic, more likable.
Well, they touch upon trauma in her past, and then they don't mention it ever again. There's a scene where she admits that she was sexually abused by
which I kind of figured
stepfather or someone that her mother was dating.
A friend of her mom's, because her
mom. It's one scene with a relationship that really doesn't go anywhere in the movie. That someone that she's dating briefly and then breaks up with.
Which I don't know why that was added.
It's unnecessary.
Superfluous, yeah.
It's unnecessary, and the movie tries to be, or at least beats of it remind me of better films,
like $1 Million.
And I wish the movie modeled itself after a movie like Cool Runnings.
Oh, Cool Runnings! I mean, that was amazing.
Like make it more of a comedy, sort of.
Not necessarily that, but that wouldn't have hurt. Don't forget that in Cool Runnings, there are a lot of heartfelt moments in that movie.
Yeah.
And this movie, Fire Inside, is trying to rouse those moments, but I didn't feel a lot, especially for the protagonist, Clarissa. And for example, that love interest, which out of nowhere, after she and her sparring partner, who's a male, they kind of giggling with each other. The coach says, lay off, do not date people in the gym, etc. A scene after that, they're out bowling, and then she starts making out with him. You're not setting up this relationship whatsoever. You're rushing through. Are we supposed to feel something? Because I don't care about them. And then we have a moment where that's when she reveals, after they're making out, she backs off from him and tells him that she was essayed, as people on YouTube say. I told Paul yesterday, these abbreviations for safety and political correctness and ultimately censorship. Fuck that.
Well, wait. So,
anyway, no, let me finish.
Yeah.
That scene exhibited a very vulnerable moment that didn't have a precedent enough to have it for us to connect with that. And it came out of nowhere, and it was trying to be this dramatic moment, but it needed to set it up. It felt like it was a payoff. This is my argument for screenwriting and movie making and writing stories, etc., and narratives. This is the quote that I more and more so am saying about it is screenwriting is setup and payoff. And if you don't have a good setup, then the payoff is not going to be as strong.
Agreed. And so sorry.
I did have this feeling in the first hour that they were rushing through things.
Yep.
And that it's like the story that they really wanted to tell was the story that was in the second half of the film.
Yes.
If I have a nitpick with it, it's that it's advertised as a sports movie, and that's what's going to sink this, because it's really a character drama.
It is, but it also doesn't know what it wants to be. It wants to be Rocky. It wants to talk about poverty. It wants to talk about women's equal pay.
Yep.
it's just there's two. It's being pulled in a lot of different directions, and it doesn't do any of them well. What would have been better is to just focus on one thing. You want to focus on women's pay equality, just do that. You want to focus on the fact that her rough upbringing coupled with like her economic status, focus on that. It was just going off in different directions, and it didn't do any of them well.
It does glaze over things. And it made me feel like there's an extra 15 minutes of this movie sitting around somewhere.
Right.
Makes you wonder. Yeah.
The other one the other theme that it could have focused on is like the role of a father figure, because like they did bring in her father versus her coach, and maybe figure out that dynamic. That would have been a very compelling story. Like the role that a mentor or a father figure or whatever has on a young woman.
Yeah. The
because that's actually what I found the most interesting of this movie, like the way
their dynamic. Yeah.
The coach like brought her in under his own roof, showed empathy and compassion and kindness. That I found to be the most compelling parts of the movie.
And the fact that he wasn't getting paid a dime for what he did.
So he was doing that out of the goodness of his heart.
And then she was being an ungrateful little tailhole, when money wasn't flowing in. And I could understand her frustration, but at the same time, she did act quite entitled. I mean, there were, like was already mentioned, she wasn't necessarily a super likable protagonist, and I didn't really start to feel any actual emotional connection with her until after she won the Olympics, and it's showing this is when I felt probably the most emotionally connected with her, when she was with her nephew trying to get diapers, and she went to go pawn off her gold medal because her sister, had left her baby with her or whatever.
Yeah, what was that
was
about?
the most. It was just, I think, a demonstration that she was being careless and stupid. I mean, that's what got her pregnant in the first place.
I disagree with that. So I think she was feeling a hell of a lot of pressure, and this happens to celebrities.
No, wait.
Stars.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about the same thing? What were you talking about? Deleted? Are you talking about the sister leaving?
What I'm talking about is
not coming home.
We have this scene where the sister does not come home. She's out all night. Who knows where with who?
Yeah,
which, quite frankly, kind of made her out to look like a hose bucket out of nowhere. But anyway, but aside from that, this is what I'm talking about. Is there's a lot of half measures in this movie. All right. I understand that whole sequence was to get Clarissa to the store to have her little meltdown when she sees Michael Phelps on the Wheaties box.
Oh, and the beach volleyball chick too.
Right.
Fine.
Oh, so it was volleyball.
The point is,
volleyball.
Is there another way to get her to that point than going through this whole 9 yards with the sister that doesn't get resolved?
That's true.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's like there are several points in the movie where it misses a step.
Yeah. And
it does it with the sister. It does it with it does it with the boyfriend. It does it with
the mother, the father.
Well, the mother's a cliche character anyway. I quit paying attention to her after a while.
Somewhat. I would somewhat agree with that. She's actually kind of back and forth, inconsistent. Because one moment she's a horrible mother who's partying late at night with older men, and some of those older men are touching her children, kicking her children, Clarissa, her daughter, out of the house. And then the next moment she's telling her, you can't sell your gold medal because this is important for you and for this community in Flint, Michigan. Like, that doesn't seem like somebody. And when she was getting her to pay her debt.
Yeah.
Right.
One daughter was paying off her mother's debt, and it's just, where was that attitude of not encouraging her to sell the gold medal when she was paying for your shit, Mama?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so that I felt like her character just within the movie. I don't know if this happened again in real life, but that she felt a lot of pressure from her family, meaning like
Oh yeah,
her
she did.
mother's bills. Her father only came in just to take advantage after she became successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she felt herself like A, unsupported, and B, pressured to give, her abilities to provide for her family. And they were all guilting her about it. And then the father has that meltdown with the coach. Where's my money? And what was the line where he was like, I don't see we here. Because he's like, oh, what movie, what money do you have for us? And the coach is like, I don't know about us. You know what I mean?
We haven't seen shit. We haven't seen anything out of
Yeah.
sponsor deals, etc. And then the coach says, "Yeah, what is this we?"
Right. And you could have leaned into that
to her dad,
because that's also compelling. It happens to athletes. It happens to like child stars. You could lean into that angle too, but it didn't.
Yeah.
All right. So there were a couple of questions in the chat from Enigma. So I deleted a saying that the crucial scenes which bridged these confusing character arcs were left on the editing room floor. Seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing confirmed. We don't know that.
Yeah.
We don't know. But it felt to me like there were important scenes that got left out, because it like I said, there's a, and I'm not saying this is the entire movie. I think the movie's watchable, but it felt like half measures.
Mm-hmm.
And we're supposed to like fill in the blanks, or we're supposed to already know.
And that's the problem. That's what it limits you from being able to develop this attachment, this emotional connection with the material, because those things are missing. Like they just sped through her childhood was like a blip on the screen.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was super important. Okay, they show she's running through her training. It's basically escaping her home life, which you see very clearly.
Compelling side of the story.
Exactly.
She's
but
nearly a mute.
Say what?
She doesn't even speak as a child.
I know. I was wondering if she was like deaf or something, but no. When she's older, she's talking. So I was like, okay, she just doesn't talk much. But they didn't spend much time on her childhood, and they just breezed through all of that. Like I said, the first hour or so, she gets to the Olympics, she wins the gold, and it just felt like it was rushed. And I wasn't attached to her. I didn't feel a connection with her. I mean, obviously I sympathized with her situation because, the stuff with her mom and all that was pretty gross. But I didn't like it. Like you said, it was like the story they should have told or leaned into was what basically happened after her gold. And that was only like 40 minutes worth that we got, 40 minutes worth.
You want to know what this reminded me of pacing-wise? Salem's Lot.
Oh, the HBO thing. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. Yeah, they sped through that thing.
Yeah. That's what the first hour of this movie felt like to me.
Yeah.
And
say, like, if the movie just ended when she got her second gold medal and her first gold medal, and then had like whatever, some sort of text saying, well, and she went on to blah, 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 and spend more time on her childhood, getting out of that poverty that she was in, that I think like that would have followed the hero's journey arc a lot better. And I know that real life is not hero's journey, but in this case, like I think it would have worked better. There was a question that somebody just asked FKHC 2005, how much of this film is real? And to me, this feels like not a lot is real. because it harkens to all the movies that have over dramatized stuff that happened that didn't happen, like those movies based on real life. So to me, this feels like maybe 40 or 50% was true, and then the rest was embellished.
I'd say that. Yeah.
No clue. I actually had it in the back of my mind to check. I was going to check, but I've been so busy with work, I didn't have time. So that is definitely something worth checking. I have a feeling probably a good portion of it is true, but you know, who knows?
Well, so one of the things with the upbringing is they want to establish their Clarissa has experienced trauma, but they don't show any of it, and that's
or not enough of it.
Well, I would like to assume that she was been physically beaten as well by her mother, because that woman seems very volatile. So you need to show a little bit of that. I don't want a fucking movie about misery porn.
Sure.
Okay. But you do need to show some things, and you can do it tastefully. Sound of Freedom was able to show extreme subject matter without actually showing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have an assault on a child, you can look to tasteful ways to do that. But if you just have a scene with her confessing to a known, like a nothing boyfriend that doesn't matter, it's not going to mean as much. And it really didn't. And they don't come back to it again. She doesn't have any kind of resolve with her father or whoever that was that did that to her. Any kind
it was
of
one of her mom's friends or something.
Yes, there's no catharsis about it.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can connect that to is her wanting to hit people in the ring.
So so speaking about her father, I'm on her Wikipedia page and says under early life, she was introduced to boxing by her father, Bo Shields, who had boxed in underground leagues. Again, this was not in the movie. Bo was imprisoned from the time Shields was 2 to 9 years old. After his release, he talked to her about boxer Layla Ali, piquing her interest in the sport. Bo, however, believed that boxing was a men's sport and refused to allow Shields to pursue it until she was 11. At that time, she began boxing at Burston Fieldhouse in Flint, where she met her coach and trainer, Jason Crutchfield. Shields credits her grandmother with encouraging her to not accept restrictions based on her gender. Again,
not in the movie.
There's
grandmother's not even in there. That's the thing about the father would have been great to put in there, because they set him up as a very unlikable person.
Correct.
For one thing, he just shows up because he wants, but when he had a bigger influence on her in her earlier years.
Now we know how true the movie is.
Yeah.
Very.
A little bit
well,
more.
I guess they're trying to, manipulate your emotion. There was something I was getting ready to say, and I forgot what it was. Dang it. Oh, well, maybe it'll come to me later. Oh, I know what it was. The mother. So in the beginning, the sense I got from the mother is she's trying, she's hardworking, she's trying to take care of her kids. There's not much food. She's poor. Because you see in the beginning, the distressed look on her face when she got them cereal, but she forgot to get the milk, and it's showing how upset she was. And then later you see her being an absolute asshole to her kid because her kid doesn't like some drunk guy messing with her, and then she kicks her out. So it's like you said,
random. It's fucking random for no reason. She has these sporadic moments throughout the film where she's this idyllic mother cooking them breakfast, and then the next night or a few scenes later, she's a hoe.
Yeah, it's
she's a party hoe, and what the hell is this character? Like you said, deleted. Are there deleted scenes? I start from the script level because that's ultimately what it comes down to, and there's enough here that's missing that I just think they didn't have those scenes.
They
probably didn't have a budget to shoot, because there's some moments in the film where I felt the lower budget of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people are complicated, and there's all sorts of shades of gray to people.
Yeah.
But which we all understand, but you have to, if you're wanting to get that point across, you can't have such a crazy wild back and forth swing like what you had with the mother. You can show both of those things, but I think it could be done in a better way.
Yeah. And I mean, reading further into this Wikipedia page under personal life, it says Shields is from Flint, Michigan. Shields was baptized at age 13, 2 years after she began boxing, and began attending a local church. She found strength in her Christian faith and eventually left home. Further down, then it says Shields is
They only touch on that when it shows her kneeling in the corner.
right
One time.
Exactly.
Which feels like that should have been a super important part of the
There is
story.
not one mention of God in this
Nope.
film, everybody.
Only when she kneels down, and you
Right.
know that's it. And they didn't do that till the very end. Till the end, like when she's right in front of what match was it? Her gold medal match? I can't remember her first one, but
Angel Studios should have made this film.
Yeah,
they probably could have done a better job.
You know, another thing, going back to where she takes her sister or cousin's daughter to get diapers in the from the store. Under Wikipedia, it says Shields attempted to adopt her cousin's daughter in 2014. Again, not shown in the movie. That would have been compelling.
So in the movie, they make it her sister,
right?
Unless it is her cousin, and I just assumed it was her sister.
Right.
See, I mean, the thing is, she has an interesting story because she has had a hard life. She had a lot put on her as a kid, and she went through a lot, and she didn't go down this terrible pathway of destruction that so many people do go down. And while I enjoyed the movie, I didn't hate it. I don't feel like they did a good job of representing those elements, those qualities about her to us.
The performances are good, I'll say.
Yeah, I thought
Brian Destiny, she's a beautiful young woman, and she's got some good acting chops on her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ryan Tyree Henry is
I like him
as the coach.
Yeah,
anything that's weak about them in the movie is down to the script.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're very competent in the film.
Yep.
Why the hell does my cast list say Judy Greer was in the movie? Judy Greer is not in this movie.
No.
What the hell is wrong with you, Google?
Was she somehow like a producer or something?
Maybe, because I'm seeing I looked up cast list and I just see her name, but there's no character name underneath. So you might be right. She could be a crew member, like a producer or something.
Yeah.
And so another thing that they should have touched upon, again, I'm just going off their Wikipedia page. You know, the filmmaker should have gone off the freaking Wikipedia page. It says Shields is an ambassador for Up to Us Sports, a national nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting underserved youth by providing them with coaches trained in positive youth development. Again, going back and focusing on the poverty aspect of it would have been much more compelling.
Yeah.
And it would have been the truth, because, you know, the real life Shields is doing it.
Right.
The Wikipedia page is more interesting than anything that's in this movie.
That's true. I know. I was thinking the same thing.
This is downgrading the movie in my mind even further.
That's what I mean. I want to see I would rather see a documentary, like a 3-part documentary Netflix series or HBO series about her life. It sounds more interesting than this movie. What they depicted.
It looks like she actually went into MMA as well. It says Shields made her MMA debut on PFL 4 in 2021. She won the fight via technical knockout in round 3. Again, like, why didn't the movie mention the fact that, okay, what we were talking about earlier, women's boxing doesn't generate interest or revenue, but MMA does. So again, she's been doing MMA basically since 2020 for the past 4 years.
So she's doing both. She's doing both, right? Because it said in 2022, was it 22 that she had that rematch with that chick from England
for a world championship? It wasn't at the Olympics.
No, not at the.
It was just a rematch.
But that was a boxing. That was a.
Yeah. You know, MMA does make money, so they could have focused. It's like, okay, well, let me go back to her thing. Shields is also an ambassador for gender equality in sports, particularly boxing, which she insists is undercovered by the media. So she must have shifted her career from boxing to MMA so that A, she gets more attention, and B, gets paid more.
Yeah, that would make sense. Potentially, they should have shown something like that as well. Her acknowledgement that, look, okay, this is just not going to be something that's going to bring in all the dough. I need to transition into some other sort of field that will be more beneficial to me.
And no one was asking the question of what is it that we're doing wrong that we need to change or approach differently.
Yes.
It was always blaming somebody else.
Yeah.
Which is a victim mentality. And
Yeah.
we've been shrouded by that shit in the culture for the past 5+ years. And it's really gotten stale. It's time to move on.
Yep. Deleted's right. Actually, the more I read this Wikipedia page, I find the Wikipedia page more compelling than this movie.
Yeah.
Like the Wikipedia page, I'm like, yo, this girl's.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That actually makes me like her more than I did in the movie.
Right.
Because while there were moments that I could that I did like her character, okay, there were it was very quickly diminished by her being just kind of bratty.
Yeah, and I mean,
very ungrateful.
The whole point of a biopic like this is to put audiences in her shoes and like what she went through.
Mm-hmm.
On the plane, I was watching this documentary called, I want to say it was The Mountain Inside Me or something like that. It's about some professional rugby player who had a traumatic spine injury, and then obviously had to give up his career, and then he picked up hiking, and so what his struggles were. I felt like that was like a more cohesive way that this story could have been told. What obstacles were overcome, because like this movie didn't really portray the obstacles very well that the real Shields underwent.
Yeah, or they were glossed over.
You remember how they tried to make that other opponent, the female boxer, like her arch nemesis?
Yeah.
And you were seeing these dirty looks, which, by the way, that female, I think she was English, the English boxer.
Yeah.
She looked like a tranny. And every time she gave her a look when they were passing each other in the hall, I just went, ugh.
Yeah.
I just thought she
audibly did that in the
scrawny looking to be a boxer,
Yeah.
Looks like a strong wind's gonna blow her away,
Yeah, and they don't even have any kind of exchange. I'll go back to Cool Runnings. There were people taunting and making fun of the Jamaican team, and then we could actually invest in the conflicting antagonistic relationship going on between these teams, and they don't develop this at all. They're just dirty looks and in the hallway, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a lot of underdeveloped.
A lot of boxing is the shit.
Underdeveloped is a good word to describe this film.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Paul?
So a lot of boxing is the shit talking aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where was hers? She's supposed to be this bully. She's not doing a lot of shit talking.
I wonder
she calls herself a bully, like proudly, as if that's what I am. I punch people. As then where's your shit talk?
I wonder how true it was. You know how they represented how lost she seemed to be without her coach right there by her side. What do I do? And she's asking the substitute, what do I do? I wonder how much that was true, because as long as she's been boxing, really, she can't determine herself what she should probably do.
Yeah, she goes into the gym after she wins the gold medal, and it's exhibited in the scene prior to that. She's at lunch at school. The lunch lady offers a hearty, healthy meal, a chicken breast with some vegetables. She's not today, and gives her fucking bunch
French
of carbs
fries
on a plate. Comes to the gym and acts. This is how important it is. Your diet, everyone. Like, motivation can go down. Maybe that's the statement that this scene is telling us. And the coach comes up to her. What are you doing? She's just sitting down. What are you doing? And she says, "Oh, I don't know. What am I doing today? You tell me." And she doesn't even know. What's the point? What's the point of why I already have the gold medal? What's the point? I'm your coach. You're going to do as I tell you. Okay. And again, it goes back to like the victim mentality, It's like, if you do too much of that in a film, you can show self-pity. Like in Cool Runnings, I'm just going to keep referencing that film. You have one of the characters in the team that is feeling sorry for himself, and one of them picks him up and he says, "Look yourself in the mirror. I see pride. I see power. I see a badass mother who won't take no crap from nobody." And he works him up and he tells him to say it over and over again. Where's that shit? Where's that shit in this movie? I guess the coach was supposed to do that, but he's actually a little distant. The character, the way he's written is he's got a couple of good scenes in there, but he's not that much of a motivational speaker, I would have to say. He's not a great coach, And yeah, it comes down to that main character just delving and leaning into that victim mentality that is not somebody you want to follow a lot of in any movie for that matter as a protagonist. So that could have been adjusted a bit more right there.
Agreed.
But again, good performances with what they had to work with.
Yep.
And I can definitely see Ryan Destiny doing more, better things.
What else?
He's like a young Gabrielle Union.
What else has she been in? Because I don't know that I've seen her.
No, that's the thing. I don't think she's been in much.
She's been in mostly independent features, near as I can tell. It's an independent film cast, really. Yeah. The only one who is in it that I've seen in anything previous is Brian Tyree Henry, and I think the guy who plays her dad, he looks familiar to me for some reason, but I don't recall ever seeing anyone in this movie in anything else.
Well, again, I'm going off the Wikipedia page. It looks like the most famous thing she was in was the television series Grownish, where she had a recurring role from 2020 to 2021.
I've seen Brian Tyree Henry in a movie, actually, that was sort of an indie film, but with a very big star. A film called Causeway with Jennifer Lawrence.
Why does that sound so familiar?
It came and
That's the one he got nominated for.
Did it? What the hell did he get nominated for?
He did.
Oh, he did. Okay, he did. So there you go. He has an Oscar nomination, not the film. I thought you were talking about the film.
Okay.
Well, you also, if you saw Joker, you've seen him. He was in the first Joker, the first Joaquin Joker.
Yeah. I'm looking at his filmography.
He was the guy at the Arkham Asylum.
Well, so I knew
that Joker grabbed the file from him or something like that.
So I knew I recognized them because he played in this movie Hotel Artemis. I don't know if you guys remember that one. That was like
I do remember that. I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He's been in
Beale Street Could Talk.
He was in Transformers.
Yeah, he was great in that. Yeah,
he was in Spider-Verse.
He was in Eternals.
He was in Bullet Train, you guys. He was limited.
That's where I knew him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except he played. I think wasn't he like supposed to be an English person in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he played opposite Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's.
But I'd seen him before that. He was in Eternals as well.
But he was great in this movie.
He's a good actor. He's a really good actor. Yeah, I've always liked him.
Paul's just going to continue reading the Wikipedia page because it's way more interesting.
Now I'm looking at more of the cast.
The deleted scene from the Batman with the Joker and the Cyclone was awesome. I don't care what anyone says; it was well done. It's odd that the best scene of the movie was not in the movie. Yeah. All right. Okay, hear me out. Could Morgan Freeman's voiceover make this film better? Morgan Freeman's voiceover can make any movie better.
Well, of course.
Well, there wasn't any voiceover in this film.
No, sadly.
It needed more visual storytelling, not voiceover storytelling.
No. And thankfully, there was no voiceover in this movie.
Although there's an alternate way you could tell the story in which all of her childhood and her going to the Olympics for the first time, you could do as a flashback and tell the story from the perspective of a even older adult, Clarissa. Okay. Hey, cast Gabrielle Union, because Ryan Destiny looks like her.
Yeah. Yeah, she does kind of.
Yeah.
Or a remake of 10 Things I Hate About You. Wasn't Gabrielle Union was in that briefly?
They remade that?
No. What I'm saying
that.
If they were to
remake out of nowhere, man. That's a different genre. And yeah, okay.
And welcome, my Cal pulls out. I don't. Okay. Good to know.
All right.
Fair enough.
Interesting handle, my friend.
Right. That's funny.
Didn't really like the Batman, but enjoyed Penguin. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing good things about Penguin. I haven't seen it
either.
Now I think I might give it a look now.
It's so the thing about the Penguin is that it's really a mob show, a mob drama, rather than a Batman show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which I think is what makes it work, along with Colin Farrell's performance.
This is where you and I disagree.
Oh, you don't like Colin Farrell's performance?
I love Colin Farrell's performance. I think the show doesn't work as well because you don't have the dichotomy of good and evil.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You have evil and evil.
Sure.
Degrees of evil. And for me, I want stories that exhibit dynamics that are about good and evil. And Batman is not in the Penguin at all.
Right.
That's the problem for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm with you.
And I'm not huge into mob stuff. So that I'm feeling like that might be part of the reason why I haven't seen it yet, but also part of the reason is I'm just super busy and haven't had the chance to, even if I wanted to.
So many movies to see, so many shows to see, and
it's ridiculous. I'm not even done with Silo season 2 yet. I've been watching the last episode.
Season 1.
I blew through season 1 because they gave me season 2, and I've been on the last episode since Vegas.
No.
I get a sense that we're over talking about the fire inside at this point.
I think we are. I think we might be. I mean, I don't have a shit ton to say about it.
Sorry for any audience members that are really vying for the talk about the fire inside.
I mean, I feel like there was crying in my audience, though, y'all. So, I mean, it pulled on some heartstrings. It was when she won the medal.
Well, one more thing I'll mention is that we did have some American patriotism.
Yeah. Well, that was back in the day when we could, in
and they didn't.
2012.
There wasn't. They didn't. I don't feel like they. To me, I felt like the angle was more about the unjustness for women in certain sports. That was the angle. But they didn't do any sort of like race stuff or anything like that.
Well, no. What I was saying is you heard the USA chants.
Well, I'm talking. Yeah, I am sort of addressing that as well. Oh. But like they didn't. You know how they could have gone the way some movies go, leaning into all these negative things like, oh, how terrible she has it because of her race, but they leaned into more how terrible it was for her because she was a woman athlete in an unpopular sport. But I did notice also that they didn't say there was nothing like super snotty or anything that was said, or super snotty commentary about the U.S. and all that stuff. And she wore the flag on her head when she was running and practicing. And then when she got that bus ticket to go to the training camp, she said, "Oh, well, I won a gold for this country. I might as well see it." So I thought that was kind of, I like
also, the training sequence needed to be better in this film. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't.
What I was hoping they would do is just show some different kinds of training that's maybe eccentric or out of the ordinary in terms of location, maybe different methods of how to train. I don't even see the coach really in any parts of that montage. She was just on her own doing shit a lot of the time, or sparring with other people, outside running, doing jumping jacks, and jumping rope. These are things that we've seen in other films, and a lot of those shots just look like
generic,
a DP's
generic
show reel for his demo reel, essentially, and there wasn't anything individualistic about this montage.
Do you think it's because this film didn't want to lean into the Rocky archetype?
It was already doing that. The fact that it had a montage, it was already doing that.
Okay. Yeah.
And what it needed to do is to show. I don't care if it's some technique that's more modern in the 2020s. Just trade it into, something. Yeah, it takes place 10 years prior to that, but I don't care. It shows something that's interesting. Mm-hmm. All of these exercises are commonplace.
Yeah. I mean,
who's doing research on this movie? I mean, who's the director? This is, I don't know the director's name in front of me, but she needed to.
Rachel Morrison, who's Ryan Coogler's DP.
Okay, well,
she did Black Panther and Mudbound, and
maybe Ryan Coogler should have done this movie.
Coogler should have done this movie, but
well, that makes sense because he did Creed, the Creed films, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm, he did,
and they probably had some conversation in which maybe he's influential and instrumental in that her getting this job and doing this movie or wanting to do the movie.
I really actually liked Mudbound when I saw it. So it's surprising that she, but in Mudbound she was just the DP. She wasn't the director.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Ryan Coogler should have done this.
Yep. But he's nowhere to be found. Because I was half expecting to see his name pop up as a producer in here somewhere, and he doesn't. I don't think he has anything to do with it at all.
Smaller film, and if his name was attached to it, maybe it would have had a bigger budget.
Yeah,
and better writing.
Better
writers.
Yeah.
Well, they had Barry Jenkins credited as the screenwriter on this, who was the director on Moonlight and.
So, yeah, right, Enigma. No, I don't think he would. What awards is this film striving for? Because I feel like it is.
It ain't editing, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, I got the screener, I think, for your consideration type of thing. So I wonder what they're aiming for.
It's not going to be screenwriting.
Interesting that you bring this up, Sin, because the Academy did release the short lists into technical categories.
Okay.
And Fire Inside is not on any of them. This movie's not going to get nominated for anything.
I don't think it should. I mean, it's an okay enough story, but I don't think of course, whatever, sometimes really terrible movies are nominated too. So
yeah,
depending on the mood of the Academy that particular year, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, this felt more to me like it was an indie film.
Oh yeah,
it's an indie film. It's an indie character drama. That's what it is. That just happens to have boxing in it. That's just the way I saw it. It's not. I don't feel like I wasted my time watching it.
I didn't hate it.
I'm glad I saw it. I didn't hate it. Do I have issues with it? Yes. Do I think anybody needs to run out to the movies to see it? Maybe if it was a matinee showing. Maybe.
Or part of a movie hop.
Deleted, I want to bump against something that you did say, saying that this film is an indie film. It sounds as though it implies that because it's an indie film, it's of lower quality.
No. Don't get me wrong there.
It's what it sounded like, and I don't want that to be the perception, because
No.
there are indie films that are excellent that come out. You know?
A lot of the ones this year, a lot of my favorite movies from this year are indie films.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to clarify that.
But yeah, let me kind of explain myself a bit. I'm not saying that as a pejorative. What I'm saying it as they're going to and have been advertising this movie as being like $1 Million Baby kind of a movie, or Rocky-esque, which is pretty obvious in the film. Every boxing movie is going to get compared to Rocky. That's just nature of the beast. This is not a boxing movie. This is not a sports movie. This is a character drama about a boxer. This is
kind of like The Fighter.
I mean, I feel like
I was reminded of The Fighter.
Yeah.
This is a slightly better version of that, because that movie just bored the hell out of me from start to finish.
The Fighter
It
did.
really did. I didn't like it. I thought
even Christian Bale's performance couldn't impress. Deleted.
But that's what Rocky is as well.
Yeah.
It's a character drama about a boxer.
Well, I would say that movie balances both.
You feel that way?
Well,
I mean, I've only seen it once in my whole life.
How does Rocky end?
He wins, but they don't give him the win.
It ends with a match. What does this movie end with?
Okay, she's already had her. The movie ends with her going off for her
on a bus.
Second gold. Yeah.
Right.
There you go. That should exhibit what this movie is centrally
about. I thought this whole movie was going to be about her lead up to the Olympics, and that wasn't even really the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Kyle, that was like so professorial. I'm like, have you ever considered teaching film?
You should. You should teach. You should teach writing.
Led Sin into it by it's like, what did this end with? I was like it sounded like.
I see. I thought you meant like I was prophesying something. No.
Like,
Professor, gotcha.
Professor, yeah. No,
I'm just gonna go grab my cardigan.
Like I was in school again.
Okay. I'm not. Unfortunately, I won't be able to bring.
No. You need to be the cool professor, the dapper professor.
Okay. You're getting started without me, Kyle.
Yes.
Cheers.
Well, you already fucking started. You have your beer, right? Me and Paul are meeting up after. He's literally down the street from me. I'm gonna go.
I heard.
Yeah,
that's
we're gonna meet up. So, I'm not saying rush to finish this up. I'm just saying that's what we're doing. But I don't know. What else can we say about this? I think it's an example of we have issues with writing when it comes to big budget films, and we have issues with writing when it comes to indie films. And it has to do with just the standard of writing these days, and it's universal, Yeah. And I don't know what's going on with the majority of writers and where they're getting their education. I do believe that having an interesting upbringing /
life experience,
life experiences and dysfunctional upbringing it will bring about some interesting storytellers, people to pay attention to. And if you have a writer that had a cushy upbringing, they got participation trophies, they're probably not going to be great writers. And that's not to say and assume whoever wrote this had that. That's one theory to apply to why writing has gone down the tubes, or the quality has gone down because of what we're seeing these days compared to what we used to get. Obviously, the standard of education has gone down as well. That's an obvious thing that I can state clearly and definitively, that the standard has gone down in academics.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little microcosm of that is when we listen to people speak, they use like in between every fucking word in their sentences. And and you're not that bad. You're not bad at all, man, about that. But it's an example of people that, one, don't have a standard for oration in their own lives, in their daily lives. They don't care about it. And I call people, like, I have my younger sister. I've called her out about it. Like, Kaylee, her name's Kaylee. Kaylee, if you're listening, happy birthday in a few days, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday, Kaylee.
Right? She says like a whole bunch, and it drives me nuts when I talk to her. And I said, Kaylee, you got to work on that.
How old is she, Kyle?
She's mid-20s.
Okay. Yeah. I thought maybe she was a teen or something.
She grew up fast. Like, I helped raise her, I changed her diapers.
Aww.
So to think of her in her mid-20s is crazy. Anyway, personal tangent. The Fire Inside, everyone. Yeah, I don't recommend to see it. If the people I would recommend to see it are people that are really passionate about, say, young women that are passionate about boxing or sports in general, and that's going to be a real niche audience there. Mm-hmm. But those are the only people that I would say I could recommend the movie to. General audiences, I wouldn't, because it's not good enough.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's good enough either. And the fact that, just going off the Wikipedia page, that it's not what the story was. I felt like it was a movie that couldn't figure out what its own message was. It tried to tie it up with, into like women's equal pay, but it didn't do that well. It's like that would have, like, if it just focused on that, then it would have been a lot more compelling, or any of the other, themes that I've mentioned before in the stream. So yeah, it's definitely a pass. Like, I wouldn't recommend. Maybe like if you're like on a flight or like are sick with the flu, sure, watch it, but like don't go out of your way to see this.
I don't know. It's not. It doesn't have a tonality that's very hopeful and inspirational. It exhibits Flint, Michigan like it is a fucking post-apocalyptic town, and I've driven through Gary, Indiana, so I know what that shit looks like. But
that was
the soundtrack is problematic. There are moments when she wins the gold medal that the score comes in and it sounds dreary. It doesn't sound inspirational. Who the fuck is scoring this film? It's like where I didn't feel lifted up, and a movie like this is supposed to.
It might be just stock music.
Yeah, that's
or AI generated music.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounded like.
What were you saying, Deleted?
Well, I was saying, and I've never been to Flint, Michigan. All I know is what I've seen on television, and which is kind of looks like that's what the filmmakers did too. It's Flint, Michigan via what we've seen on television. And he even has the line, Flint isn't a ghost town. It's not. I was reminded, speaking of kind of post-apocalyptic movies, I was thinking when, in those scenes, I was thinking Lost River and Beasts of the Southern Wild. Without all the creature nonsense and the floods, which I'm surprised didn't fucking happen in this movie. But,
doggy.
She is.
I am distracted by this dog.
So I'm sorry. She just keeps wanting to get my
attention. It's fine.
She just wants love.
Give the dog
Chibi. Here, look at them. Oh my goodness! Then she gets tangled up in my ear. See? Look at her little cute face. Oh, Chibi. Yeah, I'll put her down here, and then she'll probably turn right back around and demand my attention again.
Anyway, yeah. But,
Your dog was a hell of a lot more interesting than this movie.
I couldn't help but notice a couple times they focused on the or made sure that water tower was seen in the background, which of course brings all these memories back about that area.
Audience, just in case you forgot where this movie takes place, here's the water tower for the 10th time. In the background.
Remember what happened in Flint? Though they never really touched on that at all.
Yeah, speaking of the film locations, there was the one scene where they go to some regional competition or whatever in Spokane, Washington, and I think they probably used stock footage. I don't think they traveled just to get a few shots in, but that was Spokane, Washington. Like, I've been there and I was like, oh yeah, that's Spokane. I don't know. Stupid little aside.
Would anyone recommend this?
Ooh.
I mean, I don't hate it enough to say don't watch it. It's absolutely terrible. So I don't know if I could say I don't recommend. I definitely wouldn't recommend seeing it on the big screen. I don't think it's any
like
more special on the big screen.
Yeah.
I would probably rate it higher than a 3 or 4 out of 10. I'd probably rate it 2.5, 2.75 out of 5.
Oh, out of 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul was thinking out of 10.
Yeah, I know. That's what he said, like a 3 or 4 out of 10.
But you said 2.5 out of 5?
2.75 or 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
So that's like a 5, 5.5.
I'd do like a 5 out of 10 tops. That's being very lenient.
I don't know. For me, it's very difficult to get to a 10.
That, Megan.
So.
Yeah, Megan probably thought it was. She probably liked it the most out of anyone here.
There are people
because Megan likes
that stuff. People like
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
sorry, deleted. I just wanted to say that Megan, you just proved my point. You liked it because of the boxing, because you have a history with boxing. That's why I'm recommending it to people who have a history with that. That's what I mean.
I got the feeling that the audience that I was with liked it okay. Like I said, I heard some crying going on. I didn't notice any walkouts, but I definitely enjoyed September 5th more. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Subject matter was more interesting to me. I'm not huge into sports movies, so it had that kind of working against it.
I mean, I guess it was better than The Order.
Oh, well, The Order annoyed me a lot at the end. So. This one, I got annoyed with her attitude.
I didn't get annoyed.
I got annoyed with her attitude. I want them to pay the shit that I'm owed or that I deserve or something like that. Like she expected that because she won. Well, part of it is because her coach had sort of instilled this in her mind. I wrote down the exact quote. She said, "Oh, she's done asking for shit that should be mine." Like, why do you think an endorsement should be yours? That's not necessarily going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, the coach did work her up. And
he did. That's what I was saying.
You're going to get this. You're going to get that.
Yeah. I think he was just thinking that Olympic gold means this. And it doesn't always. There's Olympic gold that doesn't mean a hill of beans.
Yeah. They could have had that conversation about how he was wrong and that he just assumed this shit because the guy's not a professional. He's just a boxing coach volunteer.
Yeah.
So where's that conversation where he said, you know what, I was wrong. I assumed this stuff.
Well, he did. That was at the end.
It was at the end?
Yeah. When right before she left, she came and saw him where he was working up on the power line, and
Maybe
they
that's
sat
when
on
I
the
stepped
curb.
out to get a refill on my popcorn.
Well, they
was
did
worried
have that discussion.
When I said that, I thought, is that the part that I missed? Okay.
Yeah, they did have that discussion, and he was basically saying, "Look, I just know boxing. All this other stuff is kind of like,
Yeah, okay,
basically, it's over my head, And so he apologized, and then she said, "You don't have anything to apologize
the
for."
one fucking scene that I thought it needed, it actually had, and I fucking missed it.
It did, and she was actually, she seemed like she was much more mature when they had that conversation.
Maybe I would feel differently if I didn't walk out to get a refill on my popcorn.
Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't last long; it's just a couple minutes. But I thought it was a good scene.
Well, there you go. I feel better about giving it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. All right. We have a question in the chat for Sin on another movie. All right. Ask Sin about the acting at the end of Strange Darling.
Strange Darling.
Did an awesome job.
So Kyle didn't like that
yet.
Kyle didn't like that part, but I actually like that part.
I did an impression of her.
Yeah, I know you did. Yeah, I know. I remember that. I actually like that part. I thought her acting in that part was good, and I enjoyed seeing it happen to her. That's maybe why I like that part.
You got a lot more patience than I do to hold for like a 5 to 10 minute shot
last,
of an actress
okay, it wasn't
hamming it the fuck up in a pretentious manner, waiting for the screen to turn from color to black.
Well,
without us noticing.
It wasn't
That's how long
10 minutes.
The shot
it wasn't
takes.
10 minutes, but it was longer. It was longer than felt like normal. I mean, I guess that was the whole point. Yeah. Okay, I think she outperforms you.
And Kyle has.
Sorry, I forgot to add the hand. Okay. Someone's gonna clip this.
It's a good clip.
Anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, you go check out the very last scene of that movie. She's doing exactly that. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she asked some person who watched somebody die from a gunshot wound to the chest or stomach, wherever she got hit. And maybe they do that.
I thought she was shot in the chest, so like the lungs or something, maybe the heart.
Okay, I think it looked goofy, and it looked like she was turning into Simple Jack. Some things might be accurate, but you have to assess it on its own. Is this going to come across a certain way that we don't want to? We don't want it to, and not intended.
Okay, you're missing the first Simple Jack. Okay. I have not seen Strange Darling, but based on what I have heard about it, I think I figured the entire movie out just from seeing the trailer. So, yeah, I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, I already had an idea about it before I watched it, just based on the way some people were talking about it. Don't watch a trailer. Don't read anything about it. I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be this. They're going to try to misdirect you, but it's going to be this. And it was. I still enjoyed it, though. It's not going to be my top 10 of the year. But
I enjoyed it less as it went on because it betrayed what it was trying to do.
Yeah.
It contradicted itself. Subtly, but it contradicted itself with the performances. I know, you're right, Sashi. I shouldn't have done that. Every time, so I did it in the last.
You did. I mean, we have two.
Matt from Hardset said he's going to clip it, and I should have known better to do it again here. It's just like, man, but it's so difficult not to, because that last performance in that scene was just so memorable.
I recognized her also. She was in The Fall of the House of Usher.
And she was in a USA Network.
No,
she was in a USA Network series that lasted for a season called Dare Me. That was kind of like a mystery series where when that show finally got up to the mystery, it got canceled.
Oh my goodness!
So,
all right, then what was the fucking point of that then?
So USA, I just to bring up my childhood. USA Network was banging back in the day. Remember the Weird Science?
What are you watching on that network?
Weird Science?
No, I'm kidding.
With what the hell was her name? She was like the really hot girl in the movie Kingpin. Anyway, no, but
That's
USA
Angel.
Network, they had like what the
And
Max.
she's still a smoke show too, man.
Maybe I'm thinking the Max, the Neon Flux, I think were MTV.
That was MTV.
But Duckman, I want to say was USA.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was like pretty awesome back. Like I love that Weird Science show on USA. Just want to plug that. Let me see what Weird Science the show. I want to know what that hot girl was. I mean, she's probably like
What she was.
no. What her name?
No,
was.
she still looks. She still looks the same.
Who are you talking about?
Vanessa Angel.
Vanessa Angel.
Oh, okay.
That's not a real name.
Holy cow. She does look the same.
Yeah, I know, right?
58 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good for her. I love the movie Kingpin. That was again irreverent comedy. Oh, did I cut out?
No,
Oh,
we just
no,
didn't
you
say
should.
anything. We were just sitting in silence.
For 400 years. Tropic Thunder is like a national treasure.
That movie.
Okay, so that Vanessa Angel actress, I only know her from one movie in one scene, The Perfect Score.
She was in The Perfect Score, yeah.
Where the Asian character, the movie's about them trying to steal the SAT answers, which by the way, I think that movie is underrated.
Very underrated.
That's got like the original Avengers in there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's got Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson.
Yep.
And they're students in high school trying to steal the answers. And one of the characters of the team tries to seduce an employee working in that building. And that's that actress. That's a remember. So
that's it actually, I don't know if they filmed it in New Jersey, but it takes place in New Jersey.
That's a fun movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Chris Evans, right?
Yeah.
Was in that too? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another actor who kind of reminds me of John Krasinski. He looks like Jim from The Office before Jim from The Office. If you look at
Brian Greenberg,
yeah, he's got the same fucking hair that's like the floppy kind of
yeah. Same facial structure too.
Yeah. He looks like Jim from The Office. He's even doing the facial expression. He's like in the poster. He's like,
yeah. Well, I don't know what else can be said about this movie.
Nope, I have no more words.
yeah. Deleted. How are you summing it up? Do you recommend it? What do you give it?
Summing it up as it's worth seeing once, but if you never see it again, it's not going to destroy your life or anything. It's no big loss.
You're not missing out.
No.
Maybe read the Wikipedia page beforehand, so you'll like her a little more.
Yeah, because this movie is bullet points. It's bullet points. That's it. It's bullet points. The movie.
But
somebody was saying earlier in the chat, Cliff's Notes. This is a Cliff's Notes movie. Yeah.
We're all in agreement, I guess.
I think so.
It's like it's a movie pooper movie. It's like something they got off the movie. Do you guys go to that site? I go to that site sometimes.
Which one?
Movie. It's called the Movie Pooper, or it's like there's the movie spoiler and then there's the movie pooper, which will basically just give you. Sometimes the summaries are real short, like super short, like maybe one sentence long.
For hundreds of movies since 1996. Okay.
If you want something more in depth, you can go to the movie spoiler.
I mean, I'll read the red one. Oh my God, that didn't look very.
Oh yeah, it's already on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. It's already on the high.
It's still in the theaters though.
Yeah.
I scrolled through that movie actually because it's on streaming now, and I think that movie it looks ugly.
Yeah,
This is like $100 million movie. It looks hideous. It looks dreary.
trailer was not.
Yeah, Christmas movie.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Nosferatu when I finally get to see
next
it.
week.
So yeah, Sin, you saw it.
I did.
I would like to see it. Hopefully, it's not as self-indulgent in some scenes as Eggers likes to do with his campfire shit and close-ups of people chanting.
I'm not an Eggers fan, but I enjoyed Nosferatu, and I'm guessing that might be largely because of just the source material. I like vampire movies and stuff like that, and it was very atmospheric. So, obviously curious to know to hear your thoughts when you see it.
We'll see it, and yeah. So you saying that, and you just saying you're not a Robert Eggers fan, actually gives me more.
No,
hope.
I did not like The Witch.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell he's a competent, director, but I didn't like The Witch.
Mm-hmm.
What else did he? The Northman was okay, but I wasn't in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one?
The Lighthouse.
I had no interest in The Lighthouse because I could tell that was going to be so off the chain. No.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I didn't watch it.
No.
Yeah.
I just said it that way for somebody in the audience. No.
That's kind of sometimes the way I open my videos. So it's like,
She
no.
knows who she is. No.
I got in trouble over that movie because
The Lighthouse?
I did. Because I took my then girlfriend to see it. And she said, "That is the stupidest movie you have ever taken me to."
Yeah, and some people love it, but I'm so glad I didn't see it. I know I would not have liked it.
I think all the mermaid vaginas were not her thing.
Wait, what movie is this?
The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe.
I need to see it.
The movie I'm more looking forward to seeing is next month, Flight Risk, the Mel Gibson directed thriller with Mark Wahlberg.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that too, but the doggone trailer pretty much gives everything away, and that annoys the heck out of me.
We'll see.
I give the movie a little more credit. I think it's Mel Gibson's smart. I don't think.
Okay, well, we'll see. All right, I'm curious to find out.
Yeah.
I am definitely going to go see that. I'm also interested in Wolfman.
Yes, I'm skeptical on that one because I've heard that the design of the creature sucks ass, but we'll see.
It is coming out in January.
The Invisible Man was pretty good, so same director.
That was an earlier. Oh, same director. Okay.
Lee Whannell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going all the way back to Saw. He was the whiny bitch in the bathroom. That actor.
Who?
Yeah.
Remember Saw?
Oh, the first Saw?
The first Saw. The whiny guy in the bathroom.
I don't remember a whiny guy in the bathroom.
The guy opposite Carrie.
Oh, the other guy.
The other guy next to the toilet and who comes out
that
of the
guy.
club.
Yeah.
That's the director.
Really?
I think he's a co-writer, or maybe he was the.
He did the
at least a
Invisible
co-writer
Man.
on the Saw franchise. Yeah, he's a writer. He wanted to be an actor, and then he became more of a writer and director in later his career, and that's where he is
interesting.
Right now. Yeah,
cool.
And good for him.
Right. Yeah.
He's doing well.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm up for seeing the Wolfman. We'll see if he does some good shit.
Caveat: they also sometimes show it at AMC. And Cinemark has now started doing it as well. They call it different things, but it's basically a mystery movie.
Does Cinemark have the same movie?
I'm going to
matched up with AMC and Regal.
AMC and Regal are almost exactly matched up. There have been one time that I know of that it was different, but I'm going to assume Cinemark has I'm assuming it's the same. They're probably all doing the same sort of thing now.
Sometimes you guys have it. Well, no, sorry. So one time AMC had it, but you guys didn't have it.
Right, we didn't have one.
Where I wound up seeing Bernhofer.
Yeah, Bernhofer.
Having awful two thumbs down.
Yeah. Cinemark had a mystery movie this past yesterday, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to assume it was the same thing. Now I'm not like on a Cinemark Reddit, or I didn't go to their Facebook page to find out, but their Facebook page probably reveals it.
I actually
in
don't
discussion
have a Cinemark
eventually.
near me, so I don't know.
I used to, that Cinemark is my favorite, but their membership plan does not compete enough with Regal for as much as I go to the theater. So I switched to Regal.
Regal's an undesirable part of town for me. I don't want to go to Times Square. Sorry.
Some of my Regals, one of my Regals is definitely in an area of town I'm not crazy to go to, especially at night.
Right, yeah.
But the one I do go to is okay.
And the last time I went, it left a really sour taste in my mouth because I was so excited because I wanted to relive part of my childhood. I went for the 25th anniversary of The Matrix, and the sound in the Times Square Regal was so bad. It was so low. It didn't have that same booming soundtrack.
You got to ask the management to turn up the volume, man.
Yeah, you should go and tell them.
I do that all the time. If the sound's too low, I did it when I saw Mission Impossible 7. I did it when I saw that crappy My Monster movie.
They also put it in a very long and narrow theater, so it completely lost the magic. Because I remember I sat like a few rows up. So my story is my sister took me to see it, but she was there with her boyfriend, and they kept making out like right next to me, and I have that tainted memory in my head of The Matrix. But then I ended up seeing it 50 more times. So.
Shadowed Raven says the nearest cinema to me is independent, run by volunteers. Been running since the 1930s.
Dang,
Dope.
I like it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not gonna watch. I have.
Oh,
No
says on
interest
Christmas Day is Sherlock Holmes back in 2009. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that was in response to someone was saying, Enigma was saying on Christmas, his family has a tradition to go see back-to-back movies. So I remember one year we went to go see, on Christmas Day, we went to go see Sherlock, the Robert Downey movie. That was the first time I'd ever been to the theater on like a big holiday day. And holy cow, the crowd was crazy. It was so fun though.
I might actually do a triple feature on Christmas or thereafter. Because it's looking like Nosferatu, the Bob Dylan movie, which I know, Sin, you don't want to see. And then I actually, I don't know, it intrigues me a little bit. Baby Girl, we saw the trailer last night, Kyle.
Oh, I have zero interest in that one.
I don't know.
I know what it's about.
and then there's Sonic 3. So, like, I don't know. I might spend the whole day in the theater.
What's the Baby Girl one, man?
Nicole Kidman.
Who she's like
the 50 Shades for Cougars. Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, Cougars need loving too.
Okay.
You
got a thing for Nicole Kidman, man?
He wants a little love.
You have something that you want to talk about right now?
Well, we'll get into that one later.
I don't want to hear about your fantasies about Nicole Kidman.
I mean, yeah, whatever. Anyway,
present
you
day,
can work them out when you see the film, all right?
yeah. No, but I might do like Nosferatu, Sonic 3, and A Complete Unknown.
I'd be open to seeing Complete Unknown only because if that kid can just give one good performance that I like, I'd appreciate that.
You've seen Beautiful Boy.
You encourage that. Okay. All right. Well,
I mean,
wasn't he like a teenager at the time?
Okay. The caveat is he said a good performance.
Where he's a man.
The caveat was a good performance I like.
Mm-hmm.
Which means maybe you've seen him. Like I've seen him do good performances, but I'm not a Chalamet fan, so I'm not super impressed.
Right.
Even though I can recognize it's a good performance, that's part of the reason I'm not interested in A Complete Unknown.
Right. I haven't seen one yet from him, so.
Yeah. Okay.
You're moving him too far. Move his arms.
Yeah. Okay. And that's all, folks. Good afternoon. Good evening. good night.
I'm actually a puppet. Who knew?
Yep.
That movie, Dead Silence, was about me. They ripped off my life
What
story.
a poll. That little film that came and went.
All right.
Well,
so,
I encourage everybody to at least read about Clarissa Shields.
Yeah.
Because she's really original.
The Wikipedia page is far more interesting than anything in this fucking movie. So,
And probably any documentary that's online or news broadcast about this, about Clarissa
And I think
Shields.
so. The Wikipedia page. Let me go back to it. Where is it? It did mention that there was a documentary. One sec. Oh no, wait. Let's see. Maybe it was the Clarissa Shields. I could have sworn I saw. Oh yeah, filmography. Shields is a subject of the 2015 documentary T-Rex: Her Fight for Gold.
Oh, that was
Mm-hmm.
right before her second one.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd be interested to see that actually.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there you
anyway.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
What say you, Deleted?
Shields in her career. I actually want to see her fight in MMA now.
Yeah. Read the Wikipedia page, then see the movie if you want to. Whatever. It's a movie. It happened. The performances are good. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was the script that kind of.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
that did this movie in.
Unfortunate.
Didn't
could have gone in a lot of good directions.
It could have been, yeah, could have gone into, yeah. All right. So once we're on the horn, Sin, what do you have coming up?
I got to get my Nosferatu video edited. I just haven't taken the time. I'm going to go see Homestead tomorrow. So maybe I'll do a review of that. I'm toying with the idea of canceling my Sonic ticket for Thursday.
So fun.
I'm so busy and I'm not super interested, so I don't know. We'll see. I know, I'm sorry, Drew. Okay, Deleted. You better not do this again.
Right.
Like what happened last week.
Still here, Paul.
So I went on a huge long rant about Kraven the Hunter. It's going to take me a while to edit because I went on a nerd rage about the lore. And so I just need to pull a lot of material for my editing purposes, which I don't know when that'll come out, probably next week. But yeah, and then 2025, here we come.
All right. Kyle.
Tonight, me and Paul are meeting up, and we're going to be talking about a few topics, and those topics are going to turn into different clips that will appear on my channel, and anticipate those. Anyone who hasn't subscribed yet to mine and everyone else's channel, go ahead and do that.
You have something else going on that you showed me a preview of.
I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not sure if I'm gonna release that. There is a little unconventional video that I'm working on.
It looked good.
Okay, all right. I'm considering it. If it's good enough,
I am
I'll
intrigued.
release it. Yeah, it's a little summation of this year concerning a certain thing. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Now I'm super intrigued.
Yeah.
All right. So Thursday, I am going to be joining Outlaw Bill for a rewatch of Violent Night. That will be at 3:30 p.m. for our Action Theater, a special Christmas presentation. Then, of course, if all goes as planned, I'm going to be joining Pop Culture Minefield on Saturday at 4 p.m. as we discuss Die Hard, the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It is not Christmas until Hans Gruber has fallen from Nakatomi Tower. This is true.
My brother is a 911 dispatcher, and he doesn't get holidays off generally. So every Christmas, he puts out like this call on the radio or whatever about this attack on Nakatomi Towers to like the cops and stuff. That's funny. Awesome. I think it's funny.
Good sense of humor.
Right. Yeah. And on Sunday, I will be joining Bill again for Western Cinema Presents, my 100th appearance on that show. And we are going to be watching Unforgiven.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
And then, of course, later that night will be my show, Unscripted. I'm probably going to be talking about the drone situation, among other things. So keep watching the skies. I think that's how I'm going to name the episode. Keep watching the skies. We'll see. All right. So I think that about wraps it up. Any last words?
No.
Here's to 2025, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. In case we don't see you.
Same.
All right.
See you on the next side, folks.
All right. And as I always say at the end of every show, once again, thank everybody who joined us in the live chat, regardless of whoever's channels you watched it on. If you are new, and there were a couple of new names in the chat, if you like what you see, please subscribe, not only to my channel, but of course to the channels of my fellow panelists here. And of course, there are a number of people in the chat who have channels as well. Subscribe to them because, as Oroville Nation always says, we grow together. So from HQ and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond, good night. Take care. Stay strong. Be safe. Because this is fun. And now, your moment of Zen.